The Liverpool Reaction, an American LFC podcast, starts now. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Liverpool Reaction, an American LFC podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Coach Ralph, and Coach, another late winner for our Reds, 4 out of 4. But man, it's not getting easy. These wins aren't coming easy.
Yes, I mean, I think just about any fan of a club in the Premier League would cut their arm off to be 4-4. But it's a performance that I think there's more questions than answers, really, when you look at it overall. I suppose the game, it was kind of the game that we expected, in as much as Burnley were going to sit in and they were going to make it difficult for Liverpool. So I guess that wasn't a shock. And I mean, this has been an ongoing problem for Liverpool. It goes way beyond Arne Slot's era. I mean, this goes all the way back to Rafa Benitez. Liverpool have had good teams, but sit in against them, and they do find it difficult. So yeah, I can't say that I was shocked with the way that things were going, but there was an absolute gift at the end, really, for us. Like for Liverpool, it was a gift.
Yeah. In a weird way, I kind of felt bad for Burnley because you could tell like the work that they put in to kind of have that low block and park the bus, and just one guy just sticks his hand out on a cross by Frimpong, and all that hard work that they had done went to waste. But on the flip hand, on the other side, I mean, 27 shots on attempts, 4 on goal. They had 0 on goal, 3 shots total, 81% possession. These games are hard to watch sometimes because, but you understand the difference in quality of players, and I'm not trying to say that to say Burnley's bad team or anything. It's just the quality. There's levels to everything, and Liverpool's on another level. And that was the strategy from Scott Parker, and it almost came through. Coach, there's a couple performances that kind of stood out. I thought Konate had a very good game. He was winning headers. He played a lot like Van Dijk in the air today, which I really enjoyed. And then the other thing is Kirkez got yanked in the first half, got a silly yellow card for diving, and then I think 37th minute of the first half, Slot yanks him, says a couple things to him, and when he comes out, I don't think it was malicious. I think he was explaining why he took him out. But what do we make out of this? Because Kirkez is a new signing. Is this just kind of like Andy Robertson? He just needs some time to kind of, when Andy Robertson came to Liverpool, he just needs a little bit of time to get used to everything.
I would say definitely in response to that. I mean, like my gut feeling is that whilst Andy Robertson may have passed his peak, he's still a good fullback, and obviously he has experience. So it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens this week, because you've got 2 games coming up. You've got the Champions League game against Atletico Madrid. Then you've got a derby match against Everton. And you know that both games are, well, you would expect the opponent to be very solid defensive. You would expect the opponent to be physical. And so does that cry out for more experience? So, yeah, an intriguing week in prospect. And I thought Kerkez played well against Arsenal before the break.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's been inconsistent, and definitely taking him time to get adjusted to playing for Liverpool.
Coach, when this game, when I was looking at this game earlier this week, I was thinking this is why we bought Wirtz, for games like this. He can unlock things, and although he I wouldn't say he had a bad game, but it wasn't kind of what I expected from a standpoint that he would be able to unlock this low block. And he had an okay game, but the signs are there with Verts, and I'm getting impatient from a fantasy soccer standpoint because he's on my team, but I think he's going to be the one that is going to need more time, just like Kirk has. I find it that he's not moving as quick as he should be in the league that he's in right now because the league is very lightning fast, quick. Do you find that also?
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult to judge a game like today because, as you say, Burnley had what 80-90% of the ball. Liverpool had all the ball, and so basically, you've got Liverpool trying to move the ball around against a defense that's there in numbers, that organised. Until the very end, they were disciplined, and there's just very, very little space. And so I know that a lot of people are kind of focusing on Florian Wirtz because they have expectations. I mean, in some of the previous games, I felt that he was making runs and he just wasn't being found. Didn't see that so much today. I think more of an issue for me actually is Mo Salah, because I mean, has he been involved in any game this season? Okay, he tucked away the penalty, but he's not really involved. And I think that we're going to see a period here where maybe for the first time since Arne Slot has become the manager, where we're going to see how he handles situations and how he deals with things. Now, some will be watching this and saying, well, Liverpool are 4 wins out of 4. Okay, they haven't been brilliant, but they're winning. But once things click, then everything's going to come together. But things that I see, I don't really understand what Slot's system is. And I think the Arsenal game, looking back on that, showed that a lot. Because whereas Liverpool's of previous generations, and I'm not just talking about Jurgen Klopp now, Liverpool traditionally has always been a club that when teams come to Anfield, the crowd gets behind them and they take the game to the opponent. They didn't do that against Arsenal. And okay, they maybe stepped it up a bit in the second half, but it's not the traditional Liverpool style. And so there's a lot of possession, but a lot of it is in areas where the opponent would want Liverpool to possess. And I don't quite understand what he's trying to do. And obviously, as everybody's pointing out, there's lots of new players. So yes, that's an issue. But I think last season he was quite smart in as much that he didn't change too much from the Jurgen Klopp system. He tweaked things. But now the onus is on him to show what he can do as manager with the players that he's got, because he's had a good turnover now. And I just don't see what Liverpool overall are really trying to do as a team. I mean, I don't know how you see it, Salim.
Yeah. It's definitely a team in transition, and I think when Slot was appointed manager, that was one thing in mind that FSG had, that okay, in the next year or two, we have to, the team has to transition from the Klopp era to Slot and his players. And I think you're right. It is difficult to see, but also, I understand how difficult it is for professionals to mesh together and to perform the way we want them to when they've known each other for a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Isak just came in, 2 weeks ago, so, and then immediately was the international break. I think McAllister hasn't had, quality game yet. And I understand he was injured. He doesn't have his legs on him, and now 3 games in a week. So there's no training time. And I'm interested in seeing how this is going to how he's going to mesh this together. I know what you mean about the Arsenal game, coach, but I would also say that Arsenal played a very defensive game there, and they had three defensive midfielders in there, and their strategy and tactics were pretty much coming in for a tie or maybe nick one and kind of sit back. I have a little bit of sympathy on that one, but the Burnley game is it's just hard to watch these games when Szoboszlai had an amazing shot. I mean, I thought he played well again. Connor, it's nice to see Connor Bradley back, but Frimpong and Connor Bradley on that right side, that wasn't making sense at all because Frimpong, you want to give him space to run into it. So an overlap actually kills the space. So there's a lot of things that I think just need to be worked out. And
Well,
we'll see.
do you think he needs to rotate Salah more?
Absolutely. I had an argument with a friend about the setup, and I was thinking if they were to play Ekitike and Isak up front, Salah would be the one that would have to be sacrificed. And that I know that's hard to say and kind of like envision, but I think that would be the way you do it. And and yeah, no, coach, you're right though. He hasn't played well, and he still has 2 goals and an assist. 4 games in, so like the numbers say one thing, but the eye test is absolutely saying another thing. And it's interesting that AFCON's going to be coming around here shortly, and I'm interested in seeing how the team's going to perform with him at AFCON, and maybe that's going to be the turning point for Salah and being a starter. I don't know.
Well, it depends how the results go from now on in, because I mean, the 2 games this week, better teams than Burnley, and they've got the players in terms of that they might be able to grab a goal. I mean Alvarez. I mean, he's a player that it was rumored that Liverpool were interested in, and in a funny way, I'd have seen him as a kind of Firmino 2.0. He's a quality striker, and they've got Griezmann, and then Everton for a few seasons haven't really had much offensively. And I did watch the Aston Villa game, but wasn't a great game. But you still feel that they are more optimistic going forward. They've got Grealish on one side, and they've got Ndiaye on the other side. And then I think Dewsbury Hall has been a very good signing for them too. So these teams are going to offer more offensively, and they're going to be tight at the back. So it's an intriguing week, as I said earlier, and the key, I feel, is how he rotates in midfield. I mean, like he took McAllister out at half-time today.
Mm-hmm.
And Jones wasn't on the bench. Is he ill? Was he ill?
So they said he got an injury in the Arsenal game, and they're just giving him some extra time to heal.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I don't know what that means with regard to the next 2 games, but yeah, the midfield is where I have the question marks. Besides Salah the most, because rotating in the midfield, I think that was the weakness last year, going for multiple trophies, and it could well be this year as well, because they sold Elliott, or it appears that he's on his way. So they're a little light-handed, and they had Nioni on the bench, but I don't feel he's anywhere near ready. I mean, I'm sure he's a quality young player, but I haven't seen anything to suggest, that he can impact and also play a part in a Premier League or a Champions League game.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with that. The one thing, speaking about the Champions League game that was mentioned, was that Isak was held out of this game because they want to introduce him in the Champions League game and against Everton. Coach, I mentioned this briefly when I was talking about McAllister kind of being injured. And how do you get somebody up to speed game speed and game ready when you don't have time to train? How is Isak going to, is he going to get 20 minutes? Is that what makes sense? Is it going to be 30 minutes? Is it going to be 5 minutes at the end? Like how do you get somebody ready to play that hasn't played a competitive match since May and did not have a proper preseason?
Well, I would be very surprised if he starts in either of the next two games. So I think I think I think you've got to look at modern football. I mean, like there's a lot of science goes into it. So they will be measuring him, and they will have an idea of where he's at in terms of his fitness. So I think that what you're going to see for a while is more of an impact sub type of role. Be interesting to see if they were to give him more time, say in the League Cup game next week. Yeah, that would be interesting to see if they decide to do that. But I think it's gradually a question of his training, knowing where he's at with his fitness. Because as I say, they will measure that, and then gradually giving him time and extending his time in games. So I think it'll be a while yet before we see him maybe start a game. But I say that without knowing his level of fitness. But I think one point that is for sure, and I think you kind of highlighted that he's not played in a game since May. So
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if they kind of give him an extended period of time in a game yet. Very, very surprised.
He didn't play in the first game for Sweden, and he got, I think, 15, 20 minutes in the second game. So he's getting, slowly assimilated back. And it's the coach, I guess, with a low block like this, Ekitike was kind of swallowed up by the defense, so to speak. He was just kind of in the middle and no space. So when you have a guy like Isak, how does his movement as a center forward, a striker, what do you do in a low block like that when you have three guys around you and they're just sitting in?
I think it's a combination of movement, and then you're going to have to compete a lot. I mean, because basically the guys are sitting there, like they're killing space, and so it becomes hard to create space. I think sometimes with strikers, and maybe this is where players like Wirtz and Salah can be effective, by using the striker or strikers, whichever formation they're playing, using them as a wall to play off. Playing the ball to feet and then being prepared to support it, hopefully to get into space, or alternatively being a decoy for the striker if they feel that they can maybe turn and maybe get a shot off quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are some of the things that they will have to consider. But I think that on the other side of the coin, that whilst these teams tend to be low block and they'll sit back and everything, I think Liverpool mentally have to be prepared that when the other team attacks, especially when they get corner kicks, that they break quickly. I mean, because if you think back over the last few years, Liverpool have scored a lot of goals, and last season as well under Arne Slot, where they're defending a corner and then they break quickly. The space to be used, and they use it, and then they go to goal and score. And so players like Isak, Ekitike, I mean, like they are mobile and they're quick. So Liverpool has to be prepared for those situations. But having said that, they have to concentrate, because obviously, looking at Everton, I mean, like the last few years, that's even though they haven't been great in terms of their attack, they've been pretty good when it comes down to set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks, etc.
Yeah, what's nice is that, when they get home tonight or earlier today, they're home for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really nice that they can, there's no travel, at least for this week. Coach, Atletico Madrid looks like they've had some mixed results so far. They've had two ties and a win. So I don't know too much about them because the team has transitioned. You'd mentioned Julian Alvarez, and Alvarez is a very, very good player. We've seen him at City. And Diego Simeone as a whole is generally a defensive coach. So is this going to be Burnley 2.0 with better players? You did kind of highlight that briefly.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I would be staggered if Atletico takes the game to Liverpool. But they do have a lot of quality. So I think it's going to be very combative in the midfield, and I think that this is one of the interesting things from the perspective of personnel. I mean, in a funny way, you might actually be better playing Verts as one of your front three. And then you've got McAllister, Gravenberg, who actually played well today, I thought, and you've
Yeah.
got Bosley. I mean, I don't think you can take Szoboszlai out of the team right now, and even the midfield as well. I know everybody thinks that he's the one that's going to forfeit his place, but I don't see how you can take him out because of his energy. He's dynamic, and also he's playing well. So I just don't see how you can take him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been our best player this year so far. I mean, 4 games in, there's still a lot to go here, but little over what 10% of the games done, and we're 4 wins, 12 points. Coach, they were talking on the broadcast today that there's 4 goals that have been scored at 83rd minute or in the last 10 minutes of the game. Now we know Liverpool has that DNA, that fiber. It's not something new to them. This isn't necessarily shocking, but from a sustainable standpoint, they're going to get snake bitten at one point or another.
Yeah, yeah. They can't keep going like that. I mean, it's a useful quality, as it were, to have in your team's DNA, as you put it. But I think that what is unusual is it's been for so many successive games, and I think it's getting tighter and tighter. And as I said, there are two teams that they're going to play this week that will be better quality than Burnley, and both of them have very good defenses. So, I mean, I always go into derbies thinking, well, there's a good chance of a draw. Um, and actually, against Atletico, I mean, like, I've not checked the records overall, but um, Liverpool don't always do well against them. Like they've struggled against them, and as if we go back to the last time they played them, when they actually won at Anfield in extra time 3-2.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, we'll see. The coach, from a starting standpoint, I had a thought for teams that play the way Burnley do. I think it makes sense to have Robertson start those games because, although he's not the same Robertson as 4 years ago, I think having somebody, a leader, and somebody that is used to kind of this style that knows that he's not going to get really beaten one on the left hand side, would it make so from I guess my what I'm asking you here is, doesn't it make sense to start Robertson in games like that when you know a team is going to pack it in?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And if you think back to last season, the one area where Arne Slot did rotate quite a lot were the fullbacks. And so it was very common with Andy Robertson that he might play for everything but the last 15 minutes, and then he'd bring on Simicas. And that might be a good route for Kirkes at this moment in time, especially as he's been inconsistent. So what you're getting is the best of the experience of an Andy Robertson, and then bring on Kirkes, and he's fresh, and hopefully that gives you something offensively as well. By the very fact he is fresh, and certainly in the Derby game, I mean, I would start Robertson and Bradley.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the game, the way it's going to be. And I just feel that they're better suited to it. and the kind of physical game that it's undoubtedly going to be. And as I say, it's the same with Frimpong and Bradley. Bring them on, and you've got energy late in the game. They're both good going forward, and I think that is a part of that. That still seems to be part of the Liverpool plan is fullbacks that attack.
Yeah. Coach Rio was tapped on again this game to come in. So we have the prodigy Rio and Gamoa getting minutes on the first team. Granted they're they're the last 5-10 minutes of a game. I mean, obviously what he did at Newcastle was incredible, but it's nice to see that the kid's getting on the field.
He is. But I think that what's going to be more of an interest is as Isak gets up to game speed, what the plan is for Ngamoa, because if you think of it, you've got the three that started today. You've got Gakpo, Ekatike, Salah, and then who's he bringing in off the bench? He's bringing in Chiesa, and he's bringing in Ngamoa. So I think one of them's going to go by the wayside once Isak comes into the picture. So, I mean, he's been bringing Chiesa on earlier in the game than Ngamoa, but on the flip side of that, he's not put Chiesa in the Champions League squad.
Yeah.
So again, this is going to be the big reveal in terms of if everybody's fit, who are his top 5 strikers. He had his top 5 last year. Obviously, there was the sad situation with Diogo Jota, and then the two South Americans have gone. So who is new threesome going to be? Obviously, Isak and Ekatike, I think, are nailed for taking 2 of the slots, but who's going to take the 5th slot? So we'll have to wait on that one, I think.
Coach, for the time being, it's probably going to be a like-for-like swap when it's Isak and Ekatike, but further down the road, does it make sense from your coaching standpoint? Like, does it make sense to bring in Ekatike on the left-hand side for Gakpo?
Well, obviously, I don't know the player well. I mean, everybody talks about the left side. I think they should be talking about the right side as well. So again, with Gakpo, everybody assumes like Dominic Szoboszlai that they'll be the players that drop out. But I mean, I've been saying since the start of the season, I'm wondering whether this will be Salah's last season. I really do. And I mean, ever since he signed the contract, he's just not been at that level, the level that he was for the majority of last season. He's got the Nations League coming up. And I believe the last time that he went to the Nations League, he was pretty poor when he came back. And he's older now as well. So I just see a lot of things in place that unless he hits a vein of form that's similar to last season. I mean, look, you come to the end of the season and he's back in a situation where there's 1 year left on the contract. So are we going to go through another season of, is he going to sign again? I have to believe, that Liverpool have to be thinking at some time we're going to cash in on him.
Yeah.
Because they're still going to get money for him. And the only thing that's going to change that is, as I say, that he hits a really hot streak. And I don't think we've seen it since it's been announced that he has the new contract.
Yeah. It's and it's not even the, like he's not creating chances. It's just not. I mean, even today when he was trying to cross the ball, they were just all over the place. The precision is just not there, and I don't know. I think you're right. I think you're right. This might be the last season because Mo Salah is still a star, and when it comes to his background and the Saudi league, they would love to have him over there. There's a lot of things that make sense from that standpoint, and I'm sure that they would, they would pony up the most money. And it's kind of sad to kind of talk like this, but he's given us so many moments that we're expecting. It's such a high bar, and we're expecting so much, and it's not there. It's just not there.
Well, not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm assuming obviously he'll play the 2 games this week. They'll probably rest him for the League Cup game next week, I would think.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think overall that when you look at it, I think the manager's got 3 big questions to answer right now. I think Mo Salah is one of them. How is he going to handle Mo Salah? Because I mean, like you saw what's happened with Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp took him out and he didn't like it. And whilst I believe that Mo Salah is a team player, at the same time, if he's not playing great, he has to accept that he comes out, and Liverpool have great options to take his place. So I think that's one big question. I think the second question is integrating players. And then that leads on to the third question is, what exactly is Liverpool's style now? Because thinking back to the Jurgen Klopp days, I think it was pretty evident from day one some of the things he was trying to do. And there were some games that I can think of, Watford away, a loss at Hull City, actually when Andy Robertson was playing for Hull City. And Liverpool were dire. I mean, like, they were terrible. But then they had other games where they were brilliant. And so, but it was always clear what he was trying to do. And as I mentioned at the start, I don't really see what Arne Slot is trying to do. And okay, maybe it's the opponents that they've been playing against. And I think the point you made about Arsenal was valid because of the midfield that they set up for the day. But yeah, I'm not seeing or getting a real sense of what he's trying to do. And but look, the results, you can't complain about the results. It's 4 out of 4, but it's been 4 late winners, and this isn't going to go on forever. So there's got to be other solutions.
Coach, when you look across the league, the Premier League, is Arsenal still the main contender?
I think Arsenal and Manchester City will be the contenders again. I didn't see the Manchester derby, but I heard that they won pretty convincingly.
Yeah, they were very good.
So what I'm hearing as well as part of that was that Man United were very poor.
That's true.
But I mean, like, they've signed a lot of good players. I know that they have injuries right now, but maybe that's opened the door for Phil Foden, because I understand he had a good game today.
Yeah.
And he's been kind of out of favor with Pep Guardiola. I mean, Guardiola seems to have these things where 1 minute you're in, and then all of a sudden he doesn't believe in you anymore. And I think Foden has gone through that period. So they've signed players who are injured, who were maybe ahead of him possibly. But hey, maybe Foden's eased his way ahead of them after a good performance today. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, he played well. It's when you see him play, you're reminded of how smooth he is on the ball. I mean, he was getting the ball in between 3 players, moving it, and then I mean, he was very good today. I thought he was outside of Haaland, he was their best player. Haaland again could have had a hat trick, and Reinders played okay as well. So I mean, that team can start humming for sure. I think there's a lot of question marks, but Donnarumma in goal is a scary sight. I don't know why this guy intimidates me every time I see him. And I'm not even playing against him, but I just don't know how people are going to score on him. He's that great. He made a save today, Coach, on Mbuemo. When you see the highlights, you'll see it. I mean, it's outrageous how good the save was.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I think he's compromised a little bit with Donnarumma. I mean, Donnarumma is your classic shot stopper. I mean, he's big, he's imposing, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
And, he's been playing top-class football since he's a teenager, which is unusual for a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's not kind of the classic Pep Guardiola goalkeeper, brilliant with his feet and all of that. But like I feel he did with Erling Haaland, he compromised a little bit. So he's got the goal scorer at one end, he's got the shot stopper at the other end. And if you look at football at any level, if you've got somebody that you can count on to score and somebody you can count on to keep it out, then you will be in contention.
Yeah.
So yeah, Manchester City, I suspect could, if they integrate their players well, they could be more of a threat than Arsenal. But I did see the Arsenal, or the second half of the Arsenal game at the weekend, and they look good, I thought.
Yeah, as they bring something else to that team, I think that was a good signing for them. Well, Coach, as we kind of wind down here, Atletico Madrid, what's your prediction for that game, score-wise?
Well, hopefully a win. I think it'll be narrow. 1-0, 2-1, 2-0, things like that. But like they're going to have to pick it up after the performance today. But yeah, Atletico will pose them more problems than Burnley. I mean, Burnley didn't really pose any problems, did they?
No. Yeah, they didn't pose anything.
So so Liverpool have to react to that, and it won't be an easy game. It won't be an easy game. They may have not had a great start to the season, but I think you can bet your bottom dollar that on the night they will give Liverpool a hard game for sure.
Yeah. Well, we just had a comment from AR on YouTube. Thank you for commenting. Appreciate that. And guys, we will catch you next time. Thank you for watching the Liverpool Reaction American LC podcast. And those listening, we appreciate you. Would love more comments and get involved in our community. If you do want to get involved in our fantasy league, fantasy Premier League FPL, the code is coming down across the bottom here. It comes, Z8RJEV. Well, Coach, look forward to chatting with you after the Atletico game or the Newcastle game. The Everton game, and we could do both, or we might cut them up depending on our schedules. But as always, I appreciate you, Coach, and your insight. And we'll catch everybody next time. Take care, everybody. Coach and I want to take a second to thank everybody for watching on YouTube or whether you're listening via podcast. Please subscribe or follow the show wherever you consume your content. We are looking forward to continuing to bring you the best Liverpool content out there. We'll see you next time.